Well, isn't this a little early for SSRL shenanigans? Good evening, everybody, and welcome on in to today's stream. I am, of course, your broadcaster and commentator for the evening, Dave11, aka Dave, or maybe even Wingers, depending on how well you know me. Now, let's have a look at what is going on tonight, of course. Going into the calendar, of course, this is your official Season 7 calendar. We will start things off in Baku, and of course, hopefully, for the drivers and the admin's sake, we do not have a repeat of the real-life record of 6 red flags in the qualifying session. Then it is off to Singapore, followed by Japan, then a trip to the US of A and Texas for Austin. Then it's Mexico and Brazil. That marks our halfway point, and then it is off to Italy. It is Imola, the tight and twisty circuit in Emilia-Romagna. Then we're back up to Las Vegas for another trip to the United States, followed by Qatar, then Abu Dhabi, with Miami, of course, completing the USA triple header in the season, that is. And then, of course, finale, the Mystery Grand Prix. Now, of course, your teams and drivers have already been confirmed, but we'll just go through those in a few moments' time. As you can see, we're already loading in. It is going to be a 100% race here at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, a circuit consisting of 19 turns at a length of around 7 kilometers, which translates to roughly 4.35 miles, with a race lap record as of right now held by Sergio Perez, although that could have changed with this year's Grand Prix. I will, of course, give that a double checking when I do have a gap in this Grand Prix. Opened in 1921, the circuit has seen 8 changes along its 103 years. It initially shared the Grand Prix with Zolder and another circuit, which I don't dare try and pronounce. And it wasn't until 1985 when Spa was made the permanent home of the Belgian Grand Prix. The only time it wasn't held were in 2003 due to the country's advertising laws against tobacco, and then in 2006 due to the circuit going under refurbishments. The first Grand Prix race, though, going all the way back from its opening from 1921, was 4 years later in 1925. Before 1970, though, there were no safety modifications of any kind. So, in case you don't know, the original track was 14.1 kilometers, which is roughly 8.7 miles, and it actually utilized public roads. So, safety wasn't the top priority way back in the 60s, back when the good old days were around. And so it wasn't unusual to see a fatality back then, and the cars, of course, were designed vastly differently. I think it was Jackie Stewart that said that, they designed the fuel tanks to go under the car, so it was always like being in a bathtub full of fuel, and if you ever crashed and hit the fuel tank, you were always kind of cooking yourself in fuel, which, of course, did lead to many lives being lost. But of course, safety has come on since then, and of course, we now enjoy a shorter variation of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, but still one of the longest lap times on the track. Now, in case you are used to SSRL and how it all runs, well, guess what? We are having no qualifying session tonight. Everybody's got to pick their setups, got to pick their strategy right now, and it is a randomized grid. I cannot say who is where because I simply don't know. It is a randomized grid. And so we'll see how this all plays out. But surely a lot of racing to come. It'll be a 44-lap race, as it is the 100% Grand Prix distance. So it is going to be around an hour and a half, I would say, considering, how long the lap time takes. So we're going to be here for quite a while. So sit yourselves down, grab yourself some popcorn, maybe as your favorite soda, and, well, sit back and enjoy some SSRL action. I'm just bringing up the driver lineups for you now, and we will go through those in just a moment, but I don't have a graphic for Division 1 tonight. So I can tell you right now, in the McLarens is Moksha and Kavachka, followed by Kwan and Rustasiri in the Ferrari. Red Bull Racing hosts Jolly Boy John and a promotion into Division 1 after, I think, a couple of wins in Division 2 last season. Bards from the Ferrari to the Red Bull. From the Ferrari in Division 2 to the Red Bull in Division 1. Congratulations to the British driver there. Your current world champion, your current world champion, Andy Andre, takes his seat in the Mercedes with Shaggy tagging along as well. Of course, Shaggy did make a brief appearance for Monza last season in the commentary box. And, he's going to be hopefully improving this season. He's, of course, talked about his track limit violations, and he'll be hoping for just a bit of progress on those. And, of course, tonight will be a good start on just cramping on that. Andrew then takes up the Aston Martin, followed by Race Chase, of course, the American driver who made a substantial amount of progress. You may remember he missed out on a win in Canada, which really hurt him. He knew he had it on, and, of course, remember, I think, was it Canada or was it Spain? Sorry, I think I'm getting mixed up. It was either Canada or Spain, but it was either Division, I think it was in Division 1. So that would mean it's one of the two. Anyway, we have 5 red lights. No, we have a formation lap. So we have the formation lap where we go through the grid, and I'm sure we can confirm in a bit what the driver lineups are. I'll get back to those in just a second. But first and foremost, let's go through your randomized grid for today's Spa Grand Prix. It is Kvachka in pole position, the mid-table genius, currently now at the front of the field. He is not used to this. Herman the German, of course, Season 1 champion in the Haas, now taking the Alpine full-time. Can he finally bring the championship to Andy Andre, who is sitting by him in 3rd position? Boy, do we have a posed epic for you there. Verstappen in 4th, of course, had a great qualifying. I think it was back in the finale in Zandvoort, but sadly dropped through the field. But actually stayed in the top 10, so he could be on for a decent result. Quincy in 5th place here. Of course, Division 2 champion, so now, of course, naturally promoted into Division 1. Beds in 6th place, of course, showed great pace in Division 2, so natural promotion. And, of course, Andrew staying where he is from the Williams to the Aston Martin. He is in 7th. Danger David, full-time, maybe? Let's have a quick look. No, he is not full-time, so he is in place of... Well, he's either in place of Rush the Serial Quam, because neither of those could make it, because his teammate is Trugster. But Shaggy is in 9th place in the other Mercedes, and then it's Trugster also filling in for the other Ferrari. So then it's Moksha in 11th. He was, of course, hoping to go for a championship charge a couple of seasons ago, but that never panned out. So maybe this season will be a bit different. And then we have Bavish. What a debut win that he took last season, and he is looking to try and capitalize on that good momentum he took into the final few rounds and hope to continue it into the opening few rounds this season. Tarkangino, of course, usually finding himself towards the back in Division 1, hoping to make up more time, to make up some progress here. Vincenzo is with us for tonight. He, of course, recently got married, so congratulations to the Italian driver. Hopefully you can celebrate with a good result tonight. Jolly Boy John, full-time in the Red Bull, of course, starting in 15th. Scottish driver, if I'm not mistaken. The Dutch driver, Energetic, in 16th. Then Race Chase, the American, in 17th. Bit of work to do. And then, of course, a new driver for you, Salvi88, starting in 18th position. Kvachka has lined up the 17 drivers behind him. The Kick Sauber just trying to find their grid slot, and then will be under raid. That is Energetic, as Shaggy is disqualified for moving in his grid slot. His tires will be stone cold, but the countdown begins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's going Spa, and that is a good start actually by Kvachka there, but Andy Andre looks to have got the better momentum. Are we going to go 3 wide into turn 1? No, because Herman and Andy have gone side by side into turn 1, as Verstappen also takes that place, so Kvachka got the launch, but he didn't have the traction, as Bart has now taken away a position as well, as we go down into Eau Rouge, then Rallion, and there you go. And Shaggy's even moved up a position, as has Vincenzo. Moksha down a couple. Moksha's had a mistake, though, going through Rallion, and he is down to last, so that is Race Chase. Also up a position as Salvi, also a big mover, up to 12th as Ben, but then Babish says, thank you very much, as then this is Quincy off the road at Le Com. Kvachka now all the way down to 6th place, but does Quincy have to give a position back? Yes, he does. He's giving 2 positions back. Not sure if the third one is going to be on purpose, so that's Danger David down the inside of the Williams driver. Just to give you an update on the leader, that has remained as it was, but Quincy, thanks to cutting Lacombe, has now lost out big time. He is down 3 positions from his start, as then Moksha and Energetic go side by side in the background. They've swapped for 17th, and there's a Ferrari of Trugster wide at Pouon there, and he is side by side with Andrew and loses another position. And there's another kick Sauber trying to go side by side with the Racing Bulls of Salvi, but no dice there. So that is lap one just about calmly completed, but then Shaggy through. This is, I think, oh, they call this something, but there you go. That is all said and done by Shaggy round the outside at that corner, though. That is insane work. And so there's more swapping here. It's all for Kavachka making contact with the Ferrari. That was Danger David there being forced off the road into the grass, and that was just for Blanchimont. And here we go. He's going to try and go side by side with the Ferrari again. No, he's got the Williams to worry about. That is a Babish up 3 now, if he can make that overtake work. But for now, has to settle for having 1, and there was a swap for the leader there. Andy Andre already checking out from Herman, but look at this, we've got 3 wide action at the background into turn 1. That is insane stuff. Respectful driving from all 3, and there's still 3 wide going down the straight, but it all stays as it was, and Jolly Boy John into the pits early for, I think, damage to his front wing, so that is he's going to have to wait for a safety car to bring him back into the occasion. And now Babish with DRS on Kavachka. Kavachka's going to get a Mika Hakkinen and Schumacher treatment down the Kevel Straight. And now, side by side between a Williams and a Ferrari, it is Truckster that wins out in that battle. Great stuff. Great racing that we have seen. Babish on medium tyres. Let's actually have a look to see who's on what. Herman on the soft tyres, losing ground there to Andy Andre. But everybody else, bar Moksha, have either gone for a medium or a hard compound. 2 drivers for the medium. That is, of course, you can see those on your screen right there, which drivers those are. And you can see which drivers on the softs too. So only 4 have deviated from the medium strategy there, as now Tark and Gino is going down the inside of, what is this called, La Fagna. And then I do believe they don't call this campus anymore. They call it something else, and I'm trying to remember what it is. But unfortunately, their name escapes me for the time being. Well, there we go. I'll try and dig that out a bit later on in the broadcast. But at the moment now, we can finally see, well, I was going to say we can finally see an overtake at the top, but now there is some battling at the back of the field that's going on and providing great entertainment, a great spectacle nonetheless. And this is a McLaren side by side. We have a caution in sector 3 for a spun round Ferrari. That is Danger David, who looks to have got on the grass, lost it coming into the bus stop chicane, and unfortunately also finds himself into the pit lane. I wonder if he made contact with the barrier or another driver. No other driver has gone into the pit lane. We now have a caution for sector 1, and it looks like Salvi's had a moment through the what they call the source breaker, pardon, as Vincenzo is the first driver to get a 3-second penalty in season 7. So ding 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 ding, there we go. Vincenzo, you have been guilty as charged. There's a bunch of overtakes happening in the front here. Shaggy back through on Quincy there, and well, Bard's through on Herman the German. Those soft tyres not getting up not coming to work, and Bard's overtakes this season 1 champion for 2nd place there. Herman really struggling here. Of course, he'll certainly be with us for tomorrow. I do hope for season 7 Division 2's pre-season race. That'll be a 50% that'll be a half distance Grand Prix in Bahrain, so we look forward to having you then if you do join us. But otherwise, we are finally experiencing a bit of calm before the storm, and well, we have seen Andy Andre check out by 4.2 seconds, and you just think, can these 3 drivers try and work together? And Verstappen as well, I'm really impressed with him so far. Started in 4th place, has remained 4th place, and looks like he could be going long. Now, to try and talk about pit stops, while we do have a bit of calm, although I'm just going to cut here to the closest battle on track, which I thought was going to be Herman for a few seconds. I thought we were going to have to cut back, but here we go. Moksha not disappointed because it's all round the outside of Blanchimont there, now into the bus stop chicane. He's going to, well, he gets the move done on the kickstart, but rather impressive stuff from, I think it's the German driver. And then DRS opening, well, he's just going to want to wait a little bit because Kavachka will, of course, be vulnerable down the Kemmel Straight. So you just want to wait for that. And, of course, a big DRS zone there as well. Of course, the detection point just comes just before hang on a minute. Let me get my corners right. Eau Rouge up to Radion. And then DRS activation point is there. So the detection zone before Eau Rouge and then after Radion. And there you go. So Kovachka's going to get overtaken by 2 drivers there. But he's trying to hang on to Tarkangino round the outside into Lecom. Not really going to work there, as there's also a swap in the background for 15th. And that is Energetic. The German has to settle for 3rd place for the time being. Couldn't get the move done on DRS and on those soft tyres as well. He will be the earliest to pit. How long can he go on those soft tyres? Of course, I don't think he's going to quite make the one stop work. And I'm just thinking it's going to be an interesting call to go onto another set of to another tyre. The only thing he could really do is go onto the mediums and then maybe go onto the softs at the end there. That's really all I can think that he's trying to do. But even then, the soft tyres will just degrade away very quickly. I don't see that working out for the German driver. And Verstappen behind, and of course, Bards around him. And they're not catching Andy Andre. So Andy Andre still proving to be the quickest of the bunch so far. And let's just see where things stand. Who's your biggest winner? Who's your biggest loser? Biggest loser by far and away, Danger David. Of course, we saw him have a spin at the bus stop chicane, which is the corner we are currently looking at the back of the frame. And now coming into the foreframe is the source. And now be down to Eau Rouge. And then, oh, bit of a mistake from Bards. He's in the gravel there. And he will lose out on DRS as they go down the Camel Straight. But now that increases the gap to 5.8 seconds. And, well, those soft tyres have really hurt Herman rather than helped. And now we're going to see side-by-side action for 15th place. Energetic wouldn't have wanted to have been here. That kick-salber not working in his favour, as now Verstappen gets the move done for 2nd place. And Herman, well, was up to 2nd for a few moments and then lost it again. So Verstappen now has a straight line on Andy Andre, but I don't know if he'll be able to catch, as Tarkangino and Kovachka do battle yet again. And this time, Kovachka holds station for now. Or no, Kovachka overtakes Tarkangino because Moksha checked out. And Energetic has had a mistake. That is through Lecom there. And he is just trying to get the car pointing in the right direction. And he actually rejoins very safely right onto the racing line. Well, I've lost tons of time, though. In 12 seconds, that has checked out, too. And no front wing either, so he's had contact with either Salvi or he's had contact with the barrier after going on the grass. So we missed that. And unfortunately, we won't get a replay of what happened. So we'll have to wait and see how that concluded if we get any footage after the race. We are looking at Babish, who took his first win last season in Division 1, and he is hopefully looking at taking it to the championship to the guys this time. Last season, he spent half of it under problems with his pedals. Luckily, got those replaced towards the end of the season, and is now showing what he can do. And of course, it's been an absolute excellent to see Babish rise from being in one place to the other. He has gone on a higher plane and hoping to carry it on to this season. Just a bit of overtaking we need to see, because McLaren and the kick-salber again of Kovachka and Tarkangino are having a bit of a battle. There's the American driver of Race Chase in the background, just catching up to all of this. And there's the McLaren of Moksha in front that's checked out. But then, of course, more overtaking at the front, as now Quincy gets back past Shaggy, and Herman is fighting with Bards there, who, of course, made a mistake at the source a couple of laps ago. And Herman stays there around the outside through Mameldi. Now, through what they call Rivage, they are going to go side by side again, and I think Bards with that inside line is going to make that stick there through Jackie X corner. He's got the move done. What a move by Bards there, but also what defending from Herman, but in the end it turned out to be futile. He could not hold 3rd place, but of course they will have, well, Herman will have an opportunity under the slipstream, but I think those soft tyres have probably seen their best days already. And he might be thinking about coming into the pits within the next few laps. How long can Herman hold out is the main question here. And could he try for the one stop? Most drivers who have started on the medium or the hard tyres, that's what they'll be looking to do. As, oh, goodness me, we see a moment. I'm trying to track who that was there. There's been a yellow flag moment with Danger David, who's crashed and retired. Will this bring out a safety car? We don't have any cars that are near the scene of the crime. But I also don't think safety cars have been turned on. So we have... Oh, wait. No, David is moving. David is moving, so he must have disconnected. And there's... Yeah, Danger David has left. So, has he disconnected, maybe? Because the car was moving on the track map, but then, here we go. We'll just look at turn 1 for now. Shaggy gets overtaken by Vincenzo, and said, oh my goodness me, Summer said on this contact between the Mercedes and the Williams. The Mercedes goes right off the track, and somehow, through Radion, he is able to keep that car pointing in the right direction. Epic save from Shaggy, that was. But also, side by side through Eau Rouge. Goodness me, guys. And I think that was just Babish getting a little desperate there. Had a similar moment. It was in Zandvoort, remember, with Energetic, when he tried to go through one of the turns side by side with the then Ferrari driver and ended up making contact and costing Energetic his race. But Shaggy, for now, stays pointing in the right direction, but down to 9th for the Mercedes driver. Herman still having to sit behind Bards, but Quincy will be relieved to hear what has just happened there. Has now got his teammate Babish in support. Of course, just looking at the driver lineup for the Williams there, it is Babish and Quincy, so it would do well for Babish just to get along with his teammate, try not to make any contact with him in these early stages of the season, and just try and see if they can set up a title charge. Of course, remember, Quincy promoted from Division 2 after he took the championship there. After he took the championship there, so for Season 7, naturally, he goes to Division 1. Dave, says Rolly, no sound from the game engine or nothing. Oh, no, what is going on? Thank you for pointing that out. No, I've got... There's sound. There's sound. There's sound, I promise. I promise you there is sound. If you can't hear it, though, I can try and fix that for you very quickly. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, though. I can hear it, but it's quiet. Okay, let's just see. Can I do anything in my audio? This does sometimes happen. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot more I can do at the moment. Hang on. I think I could just crank it up in my mixer. Let's try that. Okay, I've made it a bit louder now, so we'll see what happens. Sorry, thank you for pointing that out. But at that moment, we had Jolly Boy John having a moment in bus stop. That brought out a brief yellow flag. Well, we continue on without any intervention from race control as Andrew makes an overtake on Vincenzo. That is for 7th place. Better that, says Ryan Brooks. Brilliant. Glad to hear it. Hope you can still hear me a-okay. But otherwise, must have just been a moment from the game there, so I do apologise. Yes, now there. Brilliant. Okay, let's just try some on board. So, can you hear me okay from there? Can you still make out what I'm saying, as we are seeing Herman the German try to stay with Bards there. He's actually done very well not to fall into the clutches of Quincy. And now we have what is a battle for what is essentially 3rd place, but that is very much depending on Herman. And, well, Quincy is right there to take the spot away if Herman loses DRS to Bards in front. Sorry, I'm not there. Finished work. Sorry, I finished work too late. Don't want to join without practice. Can hear you fine. Brilliant. Okay, so we've done our sound checks. We are now very much all in order. So it took us 9 laps, but we got there eventually. So thank you very much for the feedback in chat. And, well, we are now, well, what's witnessing a chess match of a Grand Prix. I don't know if many drivers are going to be making many moves. I think they'll just want to remain in their DRS trains. But also, you've got to remember, engine temperatures are a factor in this game. Andy is gone. He is absolutely gone. And that is through his own making. That is not through anyone's mistakes. Only Bards has contributed to that with one error at the source, as Kavachka, after a mistake from Tarkangino, has gone and made his way up to 13th. Of course, was your pole sitter, but has gone down 12 positions. And that's the effect of a randomized grid. Then Quincy makes a move on Herman. No DRS for the car. For only one of 2 cars on soft tyre. And he is paying the price for starting on those softer compounds. But let's see if he has something in tow. But Andy looks to have gotten away here. So Herman must just be doing some tests here to see how long he can go. He's done a very good job to stay consistent and just suffer through this section of the Grand Prix, or through this stint of the Grand Prix. We will be at the halfway point in about, I would say, yeah, it's going to be 13 laps time. But, yeah, no, as Rolly has, well, Ryan has pointed out, and I'm sure Rolly has noticed as well, Andy is gone nearly 10 seconds to the pack behind, and this win is very much in his hands. No driver still in pace to try and put a stop to him, although I would really be intrigued to see when Babish takes qualifying, if there was a qualifying show tonight, where Babish would have been. Of course, at the moment, he started 12th, has made his way patiently up the grid, although had a bit of contact with Shaggy, which, of course, forced the Mercedes into a spin at Aradion a few laps ago. And, well, there you go. And Ryan Brooks even saying a second a lap is quite a lot. Of course, this is Ryan Brooks in the Twitch chat for those watching on YouTube, saying, wondering where I'm getting this information from. Of course, there is a Twitch chat when you do live stream. Tyres for Andy Andre line lap sold on the mediums, so they're kind of an average to everybody else. But here's Babish down the inside after Season 1 world champion Herman, the German. Herman will fight back on the outside, but it is futile. Babish holds on for the time being, and will have DRS to his teammate as he got to the detection point underneath a second. Vincenzo has also added another 3 seconds onto his post-race penalty for more track limit violations. And there you go, the Williams team helping each other out as Herman is unable to respond to that overtake. And now Herman is vulnerable to Andrew behind. Bards as well has also checked out from this little battle for 4th as well. He's in 3rd at about 1.8 seconds away. Quincy hasn't really been able to have an opportunity to chip away at that at the moment, as we have a caution in Sector 3 for a moment with Energetic. That is just coming on to Blanchimont, the straight separated Blanchimont anyway. I'm still trying to find out what those 2 corners are called after Lafanya, and I will let you know in a few moments' time, because we are approaching that section of the track right now. They go through Lafanya, they go, and well, no, won't be able to tell you this lap. Be good if you could see where. I know, right? It would be nice, right? Wouldn't it? I think you can through an extension in SimHub, but I will have to look into that a bit more, because it would probably give me just that little bit more information. Just let you know, it is Stavlo 1 and 2. There we go. That's what it's called. Now I've got it. So yeah, Stavlo 1 and 2, not Campus 1 and 2. So that is all. That's that mystery put to rest for the evening. And now, well, we've seen Babish have a massive lockup. That might give an opportunity to Herman the German at the bus stop. DRS will open for both Babish and Herman, though, so Herman won't be able to make a move. But there's Andrew behind as well, who has caught up to the back of the Alpine driver. So here we go. We might see an overtake in a few moments' time. Battles at the back have mostly dissipated. Moksha is just within that 1 second bubble to Trugster in front of him. But at the moment now, it is going to be 4 cars approaching the DRS zone, all within 1 second of one another. And there's Andrew round the outside, down the Kemmel Straight, covers off the inside, and he gets that move done. That is now 6th place for the Aston Martin driver. He is up 1 position, started 7th, and has remained there for quite a few laps, just allowing people just to get through. And there's Vincenzo down the inside. Herman surely now needs to think about pitting. His pace is just not there on those soft tyres, and he needs to come off them now, because he is all the way back. And he's going to be vulnerable to Shaggy if he is not careful. There's Shaggy in the background there, who of course had contact with Babish towards the beginning of the Grand Prix. And currently still recovering from that. Has really lost touch with this group. But of course, that will be thanks to the DRS that he has not got. So I wonder if Trugster and Moksha will catch up to all of this. Well, we'll catch up to the Mercedes driver. They are about 2.5 seconds behind the Mercedes. But everybody else at the back has checked out. Of course, Energetics had a few moments. And he is actually being caught by Andy Andre as we speak. Of course, Andy Andre 11 seconds down the road from 2nd place. 11.5 seconds to be precise. And then, of course, we have Verstappen behind him. And, well, Verstappen having a great race as Energetic is the 2nd driver to get on the track limits, to get on the wrong side of track limits there, as Herman now indeed pits, has been listening to the commentary box. And I wonder if we are waiting for some rain, because it is overcast here in the Belgian countryside, as now people will start making their way past. As also Herman, Shaggy and Moksha have also made their way in. Of course, Moksha was also on soft tyres. And Herman goes on to medium tyres. He is on a 2-stop strategy, so this will be his first stop. He might go for another set of mediums towards the end in that case. But it'll be a rather long way to do so. And Babish swaps positions with Quincy, so he will... Well, Babish is out 4th. Quincy swaps him for 5th place and is going to try and keep Andrew behind. And I wonder if Babish can try and bring down this gap to Andy Andre to something respectable. I wonder what the Williams have got in terms of strategy. Tarcangino also into the pits. He's on hard tyres, so he is looking to go to the end, but will more than likely need a safety car if that is to be the case. And I don't think we have them on at the moment, as Energetic is currently in the gravel at Stavlo. He is just allowing Andy Andre through, I do believe, and indeed he does go through. But how Energetic with no front wing at all. It has been completely smashed off. And Andy Andre just sails off into the distance, as Bavish now has checked out from his teammate, so he's not interested in helping him out. And I think Quincy knew his teammate was the faster driver, as now Quincy shares SCR reduced, I'm sure. Oh, yes, that is true. You are correct. I've just remembered that now. So SC is reduced this season. And of course, actually, just while we're talking about the wet weather conditions, every single qualifying for Season 7 in SSRL is going to be under wet conditions. So get your umbrellas out and keep your food warm, because it is going to be a rather flooding affair in the qualifying for SSRL. So don't forget that as well. So bit of a test for the drivers throughout this season, as Ryan Brooks is crying in the chat there, of course. Just that you know, when I can find the driver lineup here, I'll tell you where he sits. He sits in the Alpine, so he will join Herman the German, of course, for one world champion to a potential another world champion. Of course, last time Ryan Brooks took a title was in a Friday league, and where he rightfully won the title there. And, well, hoping to try and find another title at some point. Of course, also races in NRRL. And but also racing here and trying to get a title under his belt in this league. Ryan looking to conquer all of league racing. And of course, his lovely mum, Sue, watches from the sidelines as well in the streams, but she is, of course, not here for us tonight. But of course, hopefully we will see her in the chat next week if Ryan finds his way onto the podium. So let's see what happens. But importantly, more importantly, we've got more affairs on the track to sort out. And the closest battle here is the battle for 4th place here, which Bavish is also trying to bring these guys into the battle for 3rd. Bard's now under a little bit of pressure. Took a couple of race wins back in Division 2, and that very much cemented his placement for Division 1 this season. Verstappen very much staying where he was. He was also in Division 1. And of course, Andy, if you've been watching this league for the past couple of years, well, he needs no introduction. A 5-time champion here in SSRL, and the streak remains unbroken. But I'm sure a lot of drivers will be looking to try and break the streak this season and have one to their name. As SSRL there, Energetic, that is continuing on, as now Herman makes his first, what feels like his first overtake in quite a while. He's been so used to being overtaken this race that finally he must be relieved that he's actually made a move that is down Blanchimont. And he's got that move just before entering the bus stop chicane. But Kovachka might try and come back on Herman here, but Herman with 11 lap pressure tyres, I don't think anything is going to happen right there, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, look at Andrew though, right on the back of the Williams of Quincy, and they're going to go side by side into the comp. But Andrew with the momentum, but goes very wide into the first part of the corner. No dice there for Quincy to try and make a move. So unfortunately, a bit of a buffer between the Williams teammates, at least. Well, unfortunate for Williams, but for Aston Martin, yippee. Yippee, Andrew now up into the top 5, and well, what is his pace like? He was very, of course, the Romanians have been rather quick. We had a 3rd Romanian in here who sadly left. I can't actually remember what the reasons were for that. But unfortunately he did leave, and he was a championship contender to Andy Andre at the time, as they go a slow-moving kick salver, brings out a yellow flag in sector 2 for very briefly, but no further trouble there. But of course, we do hope that he is doing okay, and obviously we do wish him well in his endeavours, in future endeavours in league racing. Bavish has brought down this gap for 3rd place now. It's at 1.3 seconds, but it's also bringing the 4 cars behind him. Of course, the four being on your screen there, all underneath a 2nd. And of course, the only other driver that shares that pleasure is Moksha to Shaggy there. That is the battle for 12th, but that is a very wide moment from Andrew. This might leave him vulnerable out of the bus stop, but Quincy has a moment of oversteer on the exit. So this gives Andrew the cushion that he needed to stay separated, but also Bavish, if he can get underneath a 2nd down the hill, he'll have DRS down the Kemmel Straight. Andrew is also getting himself on that mission. and they've passed the detection point, and unfortunately for Bavish, won't have DRS, but for Andrew, he will. Does he have enough battery to carry the momentum down the Camel Straight? It's at 0.8 of a second as Energetic gets another 3-second penalty for track limit violations. But, well, Vincenzo there was really catching up to Quincy at a rate of knots, but couldn't get the move done for 6th. But Andrew was not close enough to have a go at Bavish. And Bavish, well, of course, no DRS in defense, will have to wait for another opportunity. And hopefully he can get that done. Well, hopefully he can start having DRS for his own sake, as then Moksha and Shaggy also swap positions yet again. That is a battle for 12. Both have pitted. They're on fresh sets of tyres. Moksha on the mediums, Shaggy on the hard tyres. So he's looking to go and potentially go to the end. But then again, I'm surprised with how early we've been pitting here. Even some of the medium runners came into the pits on, I think it was lap number 12. Yes, it was. And they are also not going to go to the end. So it looks like it's going to be a 2-stop occasion for most of the drivers. Well, for some of the drivers, but for the ones in the top 8, you would have to assume it is a 1-stop affair for them. We'll see how it pays off. But I think the ones just on, I think 8th for Truckster is the one who's going to be most vulnerable there. We'll see what happens. But now Bavish is within a second of Bard's in front there in the Red Bull. So at the detection point, he is underneath a second, but Bard denies him any significant advantage. Straight into the pits for the Red Bull driver, and we'll keep an eye to see what tyres he goes out onto. We will cut back to the battle for 3rd in just a moment, but Bards now is going to force everybody into action. He takes another set of mediums, so it's looking like the 2-stop is the fashionable thing to do this evening at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Of course, an absolutely legendary circuit. Of course, down this very straight is where we had an iconic moment in, I think it was 1998. Don't quote me on that. Where, of course, we had a famous pile-up, and SSRL had a very famous pile-up of its own, but it was down in Catalonia. But the vibes were very much the same there. Cars crashing all over the place, and of course, that was forced into a red flag situation by the admins. And, well, we restarted that race and got through that cleanly eventually. But also what contributed to that was the fact that that was reverse grid. I don't know who did that. No guilty party at all. Definitely wasn't influenced by anybody. So, we'll just move on from that very swiftly. And then, we're going to keep an eye on Herman, who has actually just made a move for 8th place there. And going into Lacombe with DRS there. So, slam dunk move for the Alpine. And already looking to get onto the back of Trugster. 0.8 of a second through Pouon, and well, he's starting to chop his way through the field. So the undercut working nicely for Herman, but has he undercut too early? Well, you're not going to find out until some of the others have pitted. So we got at the moment, who are we looking at? Bards as well. So that will be his next comparison, and well, Herman proving how powerful the undercut is here. So he's already passed. Well, he's already passed Bards, so he's at least in 3rd position. And you know what, chat? I think we've got a case of rain might be on the way, as Quincy is now in the pit lane. There's also been a swap between Bards and Race Chase. Race Chase loses another position on the same lap. And let's have a look. So he is now looking at 0.7 of a second. So he will have, as Herman's already got past. Herman has already got past Trugster there. Did Trugster make a mistake? As then Herman undercuts him as well. Bards also undercuts. So the undercut, very powerful here. As Swansky says, evening in the chat. Thank you very much for making your presence known. As now Shaggy and Moksha yet again do side-by-side battling. As says, oh my goodness me, at the pit exit. That is the worst place to spin for a lapped vehicle. And of course, remember, the lapped vehicles do not ghost. He's caught on the curb. Gets underway eventually. But he's got no front wing. Does he know that? Is he aware that there is no front wing on his car? Is he just continuing on being stubborn, maybe? As then, well, here we go. Battle for 12th. Side-by-side contact between the McLaren and the Mercedes. And that is Shaggy up into 12th. There for, well, hanging on to 12th, you would say. These two are technically hanging on to 12th. Let's just be honest here. As now Quincy is now on the back of Moksha. So a bit of stormy affairs there, and well, I was just thinking about this. We are looking like we are having rain on the horizon, and I'm just wondering, because of course every single qualifying this season in SSRL, of course standing for Silly Season Racing League, for those that don't know, They have done something ultra silly, just in case you're tuning in for the first time. They're having every single qualifying session in the wet, and I don't think Ryan Brooks wants to be reminded of that, because that's not giving him any sort of fun. That's going to give him a few war flashbacks, that's for sure. I would imagine, as now Vincenzo here making his way into the pit lane. Quincy will be the one that needs to get past him, but we already know that Herman and Bards will make their way. The undercut very powerful at the Belgian Grand Prix. It looks like we are going to be seeing a two-stop strategy from most, if not all, of the drivers, bar maybe Andy Andre, Verstappen, and Andrew, maybe Bavish as well, but they'll of course all be undercut, and it's going to be very hard for them to keep the drivers behind as they go into the PTSD, Dave. Oh, goodness me. So Ryan has got some water-related post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know if I really want to know any more about that, to be honest with you. But as we can see here, as now Quincy is very close to making a move on Moksha. Moksha now to the inside to try and challenge Quincy back. And he does try to through Lecom. But, of course, Quincy with a slam dunk pass under DRS. And that move is all done. As now Salvi and Jolly Boy John going side by side. This is only for 14th position. But if this was a point-scoring race, this is the difference between 1 and 2 points. Bavish with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations as the Red Bulls, well, the Racing Bulls technically go side by side into Eau Rouge, and then up to Radion. It's the Red Bull that wins out in the end. Jolly Boy John gets the move done, and now vulnerable to Tarkangino behind. Tarkangino round the outside, down the Kemmel straight, as then lapped by his teammate, and Energetic has been lapped by all 16 drivers in front of him. He is now a lap down on the entire field and has an extra lap to complete when we come to the end of lap 4. Well, has got one less extra lap. One less lap to complete, so he will have 43 laps to his total. Bavish is now with DRS on the Aston Martin, and he's got that rear wing open, but struggling to actually get the move done. Herman the German is the next car behind him, now under 10 seconds, so Herman slowly chipping away at that. But then you've got Bards as well, who just takes the fastest lap of the race, 1:46.633. And Quincy then behind him, who's battling with Moksha. So Moksha able to stay with the Williams driver for the time being, but I don't see Quincy getting that 5-second gap reduced before the end of the Grand Prix. As there we go, Bavish has now made a move, and he's done it under DRS as Andrew messes up the braking going into Lecom, and he has gone very wide indeed, and he can't quite recover as Bards now gets past Herman, and Herman is overtaken yet again. That has been a regular thing throughout the Grand Prix for the Alpine driver. Unfortunately, has been overtaken more than he has overtaken. So he will need to just try and keep a good head on his shoulders. He will have another pit stop to come, and he'll be thinking about that undercut on the drivers around him. So he probably is going to go on. Let's just have a look at his tyre life. So he's on 7 laps right now. He's probably only really got 9, probably like 10, 8, maybe 10 laps. What has happened to Energetic? So he has not got a front wing on his car at the moment, and I don't know if he's still in that car. I mean, look at that. He does know this, right? That he's got no front wing, as Jolly Boy John now makes a move on Tarkangino. But yeah, no, Energetic is aware he's got no front wing. I just want to compare. I think he's aware, judging by the speeds that he is going through. That is a very slow Lecom. I don't know. That is a very slow Rivage as well. But anyway, let's cut away from this because a few things are happening. Bavish and Andrew into the pits already. What for? What for? What tyres are they taking? Well, Bavish is actually just making... Oh, they're just making their mandatory pit stops, chat. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. They're just making their mandatory... They're just making their mandatory pit stops. I do apologize. No. Nothing weird going on there. But anyway, so that means now Shaggy might just have these two, but Bavish is going to be the one that's vulnerable. And remember, there were fireworks between Shaggy and Bavish coming up through this very corner right now, but Shaggy not able to get onto the back of the Williams because there's an Aston Martin shaped car in his way. So here we go. Andrew will hold off and will have DRS to Bavish, but can Bavish hold on to this position as Jolly Boy John in the background pits? Vincenzo with another 3-second penalty, but well, the Aston Martin was very close at Lecom, but nowhere to go, and so he will have to just settle for staying behind the Williams for the time being, as Salvi also making another, well, no, making his first mandatory stop after 19 laps on the medium tyres. So some pit stops now being made. Some drivers on the one stop for this one. Jolly Boy John making his second stop. He's onto the hard tyres till the very end. So he will have 25 laps on those tyres, unless lapped. But otherwise, Herman has actually done well to stay with Bart here. Of course, the tyre life between them is a difference of 4 laps. And now Andy Andre, the leader, comes into the pits. Does Verstappen follow suit? Yes, he does. So Andy Andre might remain your leader of this Grand Prix. He is on to the white wall tyres. So those are the hard tyres for the Mercedes driver. And honestly, that should be a massive cruise to the end of the Grand Prix now. It was a 14-second difference at the pit stop. Verstappen, though, not so lucky. He has been undercut by both Herman and Bards there. Caution in Sector 2. I think we know who that will be for. Indeed, it is Energetic for just going slowly, for allowing traffic through, as Quincy may have a run here on the Haas of Verstappen. So maybe the undercut might not have worked to stay in the podium, but it may have worked to at least get 4th place. Let's have a look at Quincy. There's been a swap between Shaggy and Andrew as well. Kavachka into the pit lane, and there's Vincenzo trying something on Moksha down the Camel Straight. Quincy is trying, and that's the Haas to the inside defending, and no room for the Williams to go. And at the moment now is trying to hang on, and there's Vincenzo who really closed the gap there, and Quincy is going to find it through Rivage potentially. They're going to go side by side with one another. There you go, but the Haas is able to come back and fight. So what was the outside becomes the inside, but it doesn't matter. Quincy with those medium tyres, what a move through Speaker's Corner, hangs it round the outside, gets the move done. Great racing from the admin of SSRL, and he is up to 4th place, up a position from where he started in this randomised grid, and he is doing a fantastic job. And now Verstappen under pressure from Vincenzo at the back there, but Moksha will also be with them soon. What a race Moksha's having, by the way. He is up 4 positions as there's a caution in Sector 1. I think we all know who that's for. Well, we are going to soon see some more overtaking action from these 4 indeed. Well, these four indeed. I was right first time. Salvi gets a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. That is his first one of the evening, so he will have a 3-second post-race penalty as announced by Virtual Race Control. But here we go. What has Quincy got in terms of defensive moves? Well, using his battery down the start-finish straight as Jolly Boy John gets another 3-second penalty. That should be... No, sorry, that's his first of the evening as well. So that's 3 seconds added on to his post-race time, as per usual. And Vincenzo here has a great run out the source. He's going to go side by side with the Haas, and he's got the move done. Vincenzo round the outside up to Radion, beg your pardon, has got the move done, but now Moksha really needs to take advantage of this. He's got the DRS, gets the move done, and that is Verstappen down to 7th place, and Moksha will keep within that crucial 1-second bubble. He needs to have DRS again on the next lap. But remember, Vincenzo is very much the odd one out with a 9-second post-race penalty to serve. Just an update on 2nd place as well. It looks like Herman has, unfortunately, not been able to keep up with Bards. So Herman has been checked out from the Bards Hotel there. And he is now nearly 2 seconds back. Bards as well, so actually trying to keep up with Andy Andre, beg your pardon. At 7 seconds though, Andy is not having this easy. It's not all his own way. So this second stint might prove to be a rather profound moment for the 5-time in a row world champion here in Division 1. And I am just wondering now, because Bards has just taken another couple of tenths out of Andy's gap. He's definitely got the straight line speed over the Mercedes, so that Red Bull very rapid in a straight line, and that proves with Herman also being checked out by over 2 seconds now. So Herman is probably thinking about his next pit stop, and he'll probably need to go, I was saying about maybe lap 25, but with Herman's pace at the moment, he's probably not going to need to worry. So I'm going to readjust that prediction and say about lap 32. As now we're about to see some battling here for 4th place. And Vincenzo there, no wonder he's been closing the gap on everybody. He's on soft tyres, and that is a very interesting tyre choice for the middle stint. So definitely a 2-stop for him, and will need to stop again before the end of the race. And look at how close Vincenzo was to Quincy's rear diffuser. Gets the move done before the DRS was even activated there. Not only will Vincenzo have the move done, he'll also have clean air for the DRS. Quincy, though, will only have the slipstream, as, of course, Vincenzo was behind Quincy at the detection point, which is before the uphill corner, but the activation point is on the Camel Straight. So just making sure you are reminded of that, in case you were thinking, why did Vincenzo have the DRS despite getting past? That is why. So, and now that's Quincy down to 5th, but I think he'll probably have a couple of laps of DRS, but I expect Vincenzo to check out from this and then honestly be pulled right back in the next few laps. So Vincenzo's tyres will be the stronger tyre, but because they degrade the fastest, being the soft tyre, that will mean Quincy's slightly harder mediums. They are the medium tyre, of course the hardest compound being the white-walled hard, and of course the yellow-walled tyres being the medium of the two. So best of both worlds. You get the hard compound of the hards, but you also get the soft benefit from the soft tyres, but it's kind of like that in between the two. So you do get a bit more life, but not as much if you had a harder tyre. Quincy has not allowed Vincenzo to check out at all. That Williams proven to be good with its tyre life, as Vincenzo has only got the gap down somewhat, but he's vulnerable on the exit of the bus stop chicane. Quincy will, of course, have DRS being underneath a second at the detection point. No able to make a move there. The start-finish lane just not quite long enough. And then, then we look at a battle for 8th place here. And, of course, these two have already met on track. There was, of course, a controversial moment between Shaggy and Bavish making contact at, it was Eau Rouge, as Quincy gets the 3-second penalty for track limit violation. So we need to keep an eye on what he's up to. He's going to go around the outside as Verstappen also makes a move on the McLaren. And have Bavish and Shaggy got through this cleanly? Yes, they have, because Shaggy is not close enough to make a move on the Williams. For that moment, this has remained line astern as it was, but look at this. The battle for 11th hours. Race Chase up 5 positions from his start in the randomised grid. He's got DRS open, looking to the inside of the reserve Trugster, of course, filling in for the evening. I think filling in, I'll just say for Rush the Series, just because both Tifosi seats are filled in by reserves. Of course, Danger David having an early retirement. That was at the corner we are approaching, Speaker's Corner. This is Rivage at the moment, so the next corner is where Danger David retired from. But we didn't see what happened. We weren't at the scene of the crime. No cars were nearby. It just looks like David might have lost it on his own. But, of course, the car was then parked up by the AI, so no intervention required from race control. Still waiting for a safety car, and, well, Energetic will be hoping for an awful wet weather. At the moment, the clouds have been grey for quite a lot of the Grand Prix, as Andy Andre takes the fastest lap of the race on those hard-walled tyres. A 1:45.7 from the Mercedes. That was a 1:45.7 anyway. That's how my picture brain remembers it. And there's Energetic again being lapped by the field. So he is already 2 laps down on the leader. So he will only go to lap 42 out of 44. Well, it's been a horrible evening for the Dutch driver. But luckily, no points at stake here, as this is only a pre-season race, as he gets another 3-second penalty for track limit violations. He's over 2 minutes back. I think that is more than, well, 2 minutes back to Salvi at the very least, but I wonder Delta to the leader. That'll be an interesting stat, that's for sure. Quincy, thanks to that lapped car of Energetic, gets DRS down the straight, and there's been a yellow flag deployed, but that it will be for the slow-moving Kick Sauber, so nothing to really worry about there in terms of the drivers around. 20 laps to go. We have gone beyond the halfway point, and there's a few battles cooking up here as Shaggy trying to get back on Bavish after, of course, those two had contact earlier in the Grand Prix. Trugster and Race Chase swap positions yet again. Race Chase overtaken by the Ferrari, so it's vice versa from last lap. And we'll see if Race Chase can fight that back at the next, well, on the next lap with the next DRS zone. Kavachka behind them at 1.4 seconds. Of course, remember, Kavachka was your pole sitter for this, but unfortunately his pace has not been equivalent to anybody in the top 10, but is catching up to at least Trugster and Race Chase. We are about to move on to lap 26 out of 44. Andy Andre crosses the line now, and there goes the counter. But at the moment, Quincy is just trying to hang on to things here. And of course, in case if you have just joined us, welcome on in. It has been quite the start, but now a more important headline: pit stops begin. Herman surely is on to the hard tyres till the end of this race as Energetic gets another 3-second penalty for track limit violations there. So let's just see what tyre Herman goes out onto. And the Alpine crew get to work, and that is the hard tyre for Herman. So he is using all 3 compounds in this race. Needs to be, well, he will be ahead of Moksha because that is him in the background there. So what is Moksha got onto? Medium tyres, and that is a big risk from the McLaren driver there. But more importantly, has anybody been able to take an overtake under DRS? Not quite, no. Shaggy is not even close. After that mistake at Rivage, he's not really been able to get that 1 second gap back, so he'll have to wait another lap to see if he can open the DRS again. And, well, Verstappen is just trying to stay with it. Of course, had a great qualifying in the one-shot it was last week in Zandvoort. That feels crazy to me. But, of course, just cutting back to the battle for 11th for the time being. Race chase under DRS conditions does what Chuckster did to him last lap and what he did to Chuckster a couple of laps ago. Move has been made. And I just wonder, are these two working together to try and separate themselves from Kvachka? Hasn't worked at all, because now Kvachka, as soon as we see that, gets into the 1 second bubble for this pack. And we are soon going to be looking at, Chuckster and Race Chase surely swapping again. But now with the third car in the mix, that might just make things more spicy for them. Of course, Kvachka has a 3-second post-race penalty to serve, unlike the 2 in front of him. So something to watch out for the McLaren, as now we are seeing Verstappen go round the outside of Vincenzo. Of course, Vincenzo with a post-race penalty of about 9 seconds. No, make that 12. So that has increased since we last looked at it, as Vincenzo has been overtaken at the bus stop for 5th place. For 4th place, beg your pardon. But now Verstappen has a guaranteed podium if things stay as they are right now. Of course, Quincy with a 3-second post-race penalty we'll have to serve that. Now, he's okay for a few of the drivers behind, but if Andrew catches up to this, well, he is in a lot of trouble here, so he might lose the podium if Andrew finds the hurry-up. Truckster and Race Chase and Kvachka got into a little battle here. Kvachka has overtaken Race Chase, and, well, Truckster has remained in 11th, and is probably going to have a nice cushion between him and the McLaren, thanks to all that jostling that the Aston Martin and the McLaren did. And all of a sudden, it's completely checked out. Kvachka will get DRS though, so we will be able to set something up for the next lap. But for this lap, no. Overtaking opportunity lost. There are still 18 laps to go in the Grand Prix, so if you count all the DRS zones, so that is 2 in total, you've got a couple of more opportunities. But there's a kick Sauber that's gone very wide there. That's just Energetic getting out the way. No front wing for him. 19 lap medium tyres for Energetic, going very wide there at Rivage. Of course, that being turn number 8 on the circuit there. And, well, let's see what happens. So Verstappen now is close enough to Quincy. Surely he will make a move sooner rather than later. I think, well, probably going to wait till the Camel Straight before anything happens. And now, well, Quincy is also is not really catching up to Bards either, but neither is Bards catching up to Andy. So Bards, well, is decent around here, that's for sure. He has certainly kept Andy honest. He's not gotten away by a huge amount, as guess who's brought out another yellow flag. Well, Bards here has really shown incredible pace. But of course, just in case if you don't know and you've just joined us, of course, Bards is a promotion from Division 2. Absolutely dominated a couple of Division 2 races, and so that's what's earned him the promotion for this season. There wasn't any room for him last season, had to settle for being a reserve role, but this season was able to slap up a full-time seat. And, well, Verstappen, we're going to just cut away from that for a moment, because 3rd place will now go to the Haas driver. Quincy doesn't really fight too hard to try and get that back, and he'll just settle for 4th place for the time being. But now Verstappen is surely going to try and get a move on. Yellow flag, but this time not from the usual suspect. It's Jolly Boy John, who has, I think, made a mistake at Stavlo 2. And we're going to have to try and see if the camera will cut away and try and find what who was in... well, what was at fault there? But there you go. There's a battle between Truckster and Kovachka. Kovachka gets the move done. Truckster goes into the back as Jolly Boy John has had enough for one evening. Will retire in the pit lane, so that will require no intervention from race control. We will continue going racing, but 17 laps to go. We will have some very intense fights. Verstappen is certainly catching Bart here. He's got that gap to 8.8 seconds. I don't know if he has enough time to catch second place, though, so that is going to be interesting to see if he can just get the hurry up on. Of course, in comparison to tyres, well, Verstappen has the tyre advantage, so he could be taking second place here away from Bards if Bards doesn't look after his tyres. Of course, he chose the medium tyres, but I think Bards has to stop again anyway. He's on 13 lapped old mediums, so maybe the advantage can come back to him, but we'll have a few cars to overtake as Shaggy now in for his second stop, looking for some Scooby snacks here. Well, those Scooby snacks come in the form of, let's see what it is. It is another hard tyre. So he will put those Scooby snacks on and will go out till the end of the Grand Prix, till the end of the Grand Prix on those tyres. So let's see what happens. But anyway, yeah, no, look at Verstappen checking out from Quincy behind there. Now the gap at 1.8 seconds. Make that 2 seconds as they go through Lacombe into Mameldi. Looked like that was a bit wide there from the Haas, but looks like no harm done, no gravel on the tyres, so that looked to have been just perfect from a Haas driver. But at the moment now, you're just thinking, well, what is the next thing that's going to happen? Of course, some drivers still need to execute their second stops. Of course, Bards being one of them, not been able to put a dent into Andy's lead and hasn't really followed the Mercedes strategy, and now could be vulnerable to Verstappen. Will be vulnerable to Verstappen, so Bards could have lost a guaranteed podium here, which might mean Quincy is going to be the one in the driving seat for third place, but will have a bit of pressure from behind. Now Vincenzo surely has to make another stop. As will Quincy and Vincenzo. So Bavish doesn't need to make another stop. So he's now in the limelight for the podium for that third place, because Vincenzo's soft tyres, like we said before, won't go to the end. And if I'm being honest with you, Vincenzo has to think about pitting now. The Italian driver surely can't hang on to those for much longer. And we'll see what he does as we go through into the bus stop. Yep, right on command. He comes in this lap. And we will see what tyres he changes out onto. Pit limiter is engaged. No penalty for the Racing Bulls driver. But, of course, 12 seconds in post-race penalties coming his way by track limit violations. Of course, remember, those 3-second penalties cannot be served, despite even if the accumulated amount is, let's say, 15 seconds or 10 seconds. Not possible with that distribution. You can't serve those in the pits at all, and it is going to be Vincenzo onto the hard tyres till the end of the race. So what he needs now is a 6-second buffer on Shaggy behind. Has got that on the exit, but I think Shaggy also got another track second penalty for track limit violation. So that brought the Mercedes total up to 6 seconds. So that means Kovachka has a run at the top 10 here. The pole sitter now recovering into the top 10, of course, was overtaken a lot in the opening laps of this Grand Prix as Truckster and Kovachka now overtake. So actually that would be Truckster for the top 10 and potentially 9th place. If they can work together and just keep doing what they're doing, well, they could be fighting for more positions at the end of this. 15 laps to go, though, and a long way to go still. Verstappen is still bringing down that gap. It is now at under 8 seconds. For briefly, it's certainly on that bubble of the 8 seconds. But Bards will need to stop again. There is no way he could go to the end on those mediums. As now we are seeing Andy start lap 31. As now Bavish, Quincy, I think, has just let him through there. He knows Bavish is the quicker car, but maybe might try and fight back under DRS conditions. We'll wait and see. As they are now approaching, of course, the first DRS zone of the track. Or is Quincy into the pit lane? No, so he is still going to stay out on those mediums for another lap. But I would imagine his pit stop is coming rather soon in the next 1 to 3 laps. So maybe this lap even as well. We'll wait and see. Of course, he's trying to use... I think he's just trying to use the DRS from his teammate. Of course, his teammate on better tyres than him. Those hards will go longer and, of course, are 3 laps fresher than the mediums. So I think Quincy knows that he could maybe just use some DRS advantage just to increase the gap and maybe not be undercut by any drivers behind us. Shaggy has a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane and retires I'm not sure what happened to him, as now Herman is the next driver to get a 3-second penalty for track limit violations, as we see Quincy mess up Lecoq there. So we'll see what that total is for Herman post-race. That is 3 seconds. And now Herman also has to deal with Moksha, who, of course, has... They've both pitted 5 laps to go. So this is very much an even-keel fight. And what has happened... Let's see, there's a Mercedes... Oh, yeah, no, that's just a Shaggy there, just going... just, of course, cementing his retirement there. Of course, he retired in the pit lane. And that will mean no intervention required from race control. Well, if you're... yep, that's right. Underling's here. Hello, Underling. Welcome to the stream. I hope you are doing well. Hope you're having a good evening so far. We are currently in Spa-Francorchamps for this 100% distance Grand Prix. And while we are actually coming to the end of it, it's actually been a rather entertaining Grand Prix. It's not been a classic by any means, but this has certainly been a good Grand Prix. It's certainly been intriguing how the strategy will work, and we still have a couple of things to be decided before the end of this Grand Prix. We need to look at Bards. He will be one to watch out for towards the end of this. He still has to make a second stop, I believe, or else Verstappen will catch up to him and get second place, I'm sure. But Bards has done well just to keep that hovering at the 8-second mark just for the last couple of laps. And, well, we're about to see Herman and Moksha do battle yet again. Herman really not at the top of his game at the moment. Has struggled with the physics on this one when I've spoken to him in the commentary box over the last, well, over season 6. Has really said that this has been unnatural. And then, of course, even got a season ban for contact with another driver. So, of course, we'll be looking to rectify that. And, well, we'll be looking to get his game underway. But here we go. Moksha will be his first test, and Moksha round the outside, down the Camel Straight, and that is a slam dunk pass for the McLaren driver. And now we are currently seeing, we're currently seeing Andy go to victory yet again, as we have a caution in Sector 2 for guess who? A certain kick Sauber. I will leave you up to the imagination to see who that is, as now we are seeing Truckster and Gavachka go side by side through Lecom. We're catching the aftermath of this battle, but it feels like it's only just begun. We'll have had a DRS, but it is Truckster who will have 10th place for the time being, and I'm going to benefit from Vincenzo's 12-second penalty, but needs to keep it within that 12-second window, does Truckster. He does not want to get too involved in this tangle with the McLaren. He's got a 9th position there on the line if he can keep things pointing in the straight and narrow. And, another battle closest on track that's been brewing for some time. Andrew and Quincy, of course. The only thing that's outstanding is, of course, Quincy's 3-second penalty to be served post-race. But Quincy will not even give Andrew the entertainment of DRS down the Camel Straight. Andrew will have to just have the start-finish straight. And then, we'll just have to go under his own steam as he locks up both fronts going into the source. So that'll be a bit of a momentum killer for the car. Quincy now onto soft tyres for the remaining 12 laps of this Grand Prix. That is a very interesting call indeed. It doesn't look like rain is going to be on the horizon today. And that still means Truckster may even have... No, he won't have 8th place, that is for sure. So he'll have to deal with... let's see, as we have a caution in Sector 2, guess who? And, Tarkagino, I think, is in a race of his own there. Yeah, he's on soft tyres. As of right now, down in 13th, but he is actually down one from his starting position. Salvi, as well, has made up 5 positions, and, of course, a couple of those have been due to Energetic just... not having a front wing, and of course Tarkagino having his own moments. So the Kick Sauber's really struggling. And actually, Kick Sauber's had a decent performance with Andy Andre, finished runner-up. But Andy Andre now back in familiar Mercedes machinery and has taken a couple of SSRL titles with that car. So familiar ground for him, but for Herman, Alpine not so familiar. So we'll need to probably have a couple of races just to get acclimatized with the car, and maybe... just maybe we can see the Season 1 champion go for another title fight. We haven't seen him do that since Season 4 as he took a step away from F1 24. Game will do that to you if you had experience playing it. But Bard's now into the pit box, changing his tyres for the last time, and he's also on soft tyre. Now, Quincy shouldn't really be in any range to undercut the Red Bull, as Andrew is also a big separator from all of that, as now Andrew gets 4th place. And, well, now it is all or nothing for Bards. If he wants a podium, he can still get it rather easily, actually. He hasn't lost as much time as I initially thought. To Verstappen there, he has got about... Let's see. 3, 2... That is about 6 seconds, and that is 11 laps to do that. And he can actually see him at the edge of the frame there. But for Verstappen, that's going to be a bit of a different kettle of fish. So let me just calculate the gap. So it's 4, 3, 4. So that's about 8 seconds there, with a couple of seconds there as well. So he's got about 10 seconds. So every lap is going to count here. He needs a second a lap, essentially, because you want 1 lap just to try and make the overtake. And, of course, you'll want that DRS down the camel straight. But let's see, as Bard's very wide there, he is pushing as Truckster and Race Chase have swapped positions again. Truckster trying to fight back there on the Aston Martin, but neither of these have got track limits penalties, despite how hard they've been fighting. They might not need to stop again either. 16 lap hards is comfortable to get you to the end on those. So let's see, can Quincy also make another move as we have a yellow flag for... Oh, no! Oh, it's Barish in the wall! Barish in the wall! And Stavelo too! What has happened to the Williams driver? He must have just caught the gravel on the exit and has found himself in the barrier in a very awkward place. And Barish was having such a great, consistent race. It's all come undone, and Quincy has got 1 position, 1 less car for him to worry about, and it's his teammate. Heartbreak for the Williams on what was a promising start, but look at this. We're cutting away for just a few seconds because Bards has, of course, now got 1 less car to worry about, and now, with 10 laps to go, only 8.2 seconds between him and Verstappen. Quincy sets the fastest lap of the race, so he is the fastest car on track as of right now. And he is only 8 tenths behind the Racing Bulls of Vincenzo here. R.I.P. says one in chat there, underling there, giving his commiserations to the Williams driver. As Albavish, yeah, with the damaged front wing as well. He'll go on to softs till the end of this Grand Prix. He will come out behind Kavachka, the McLaren there. He would not have been wanting to fight him at this point. Is he going? Is he stuck? He was stuck. For one reason or another, he was stuck. And Babish now not only had a long stop, has now also had an issue in the pit lane with the Williams mechanics, and he is sent out with about 10 seconds separating him from Kavachka. Now Babish has more penalties in hand as we have a Tarkangino retirement, and now we have a virtual safety car. We do not have a full safety car, but Tarkangino crashed it at the bus stop. No sign of a safety car at the moment. Well, scares all around, and now Bards, the charge for Bards has come to an end there. And he is going full throttle down this straight. He must have put the anchors on when the VSC came out so that he could take advantage of the momentum to go down, to go into Blanchimont. And I don't blame him, really. That's actually really smart work. As now Andrew into the pit lane, so the strategies we thought were going to be comfortable have been thrown out the window as Tarkangino, for obvious reasons, leaves the session. But with VSC and deployment right now, can Andrew get this stop done before it is deployed? He's going to be losing time, but not as much. You lose about 10 seconds in pit stop time to the other drivers around you while you're in the pits. And who else has come into the pits? That is Vincenzo as well, obviously following suit. And Quincy now definitely has one less to worry about, as now Andrew in front. That is about 3.5 seconds, but of course we are still under VSC conditions, so we do need to wait for the restart from race control, as Energetic gets a 3-second penalty under VSC conditions for track limit violations. Drive through for Andrew under VSC conditions, and that means his good race has come undone. He will have to serve that under full racing speed. Has got a minimum of, well, it's got a maximum of 3 laps to serve that. And, well, now he will just have to see if he can try and recover this into a feasible result. He should be around Vincenzo once he comes out of the pit lane, but it is not going to be a top 5 finish for the Aston Martin. He is denied, as now Herman is in that driver's seat. As now, there we go, there's the lapped car of Energetic, the only running Kicksauber now. So all of a sudden, if this was a point-scoring race, Energetic would now get 2 points. He just needs to make up the 2 laps on his teammate. And, well, maybe 1 lap even. Yeah, I think that's more like 1 lap. As Energetic is still on those medium tyres, by the way. He's not come off them. He's on 27 lap old mediums. Is he trying to break the record of most laps done on a tyre here in SSRL? That would be quite a funny statistic if that were to be the case. Update on the battle for second place as well for all of you. 6 seconds now separate with 8 laps to go. So still needs to be around a second a lap. But I just wonder if now we have seen the best of those soft tyres on the Red Bull. And that VSC won't have helped matters at all. Verstappen is on 16... Well, I say that, but 16 laps. Hard tyres. I'm being honest with you, chat. I think Bards even will catch up before the end of this race. In the straights, that's where he's going to be slowest compared to Verstappen. But when it comes to the corners, like through here, that's where he's gonna really find the time. So one to look out for here is the Red Bull. 5.8 seconds as they go through to Rivage. Now 5.6 maybe as he goes into Speaker's Corner. And there's the Haas right at the back of your frame there. Just going through Pouon now. And this is indeed where the Red Bull is strongest. But not much time gains there through the downforce section, so I wonder if there is more a higher setting of rings on that Haas car. Because, yeah, no, Bards hasn't really dented it all that much. If anything, that's come out to about a 10th as he was mid-corner. So, dearie me, I wonder if that Red Bull is just not quite set up properly. Because now, look, it even checked out to 5.4 seconds. It was 5.3 through Stavlo 1 and 2. Let's see how it checks out as he goes through Blanchimont and then approaching the bus stop. And just looking at the battles there really isn't a whole lot going on. As yeah, through the bus stop, yeah, 5.2 seconds. Well, Bards looked certain he was going to catch up, but now 4.7 seconds there. So that's actually a gap of 1.4 seconds caught on a singular lap. So 4.4 seconds now at the source. So through the slow speed stuff is where the Haas is vulnerable. Now at 4.3 seconds with 7 to go. Yeah, no, that battle is now looking like it's back on. And I think Verstappen must be quaking in his boots, hoping that the Red Bull doesn't catch up. But I just don't see that happening as Vincenzo takes the fastest lap of the race. And 1:43.925. I think the honour originally belonged to Andy on those hard tyres. But that is demolished by the Racing Bulls. Although I can just have a quick look for you. Fastest lap. Yeah, first driver to break into that, but Quincy actually initially held it with a 1:44.852, but that is nearly 9/10. Well, it's just over 9/10 of a second from the Racing Bulls, and that will kind of cement, I believe, the fastest lap for Vincenzo, unless if we do have indeed a late safety car. Of course, if there are 3 laps to go at the line, the safety car will no longer be called out. Doesn't matter what happens. That safety car will not be seen again from that point onward. At the moment, Bards now 3.5 seconds between him and the Haas of Verstappen. He's done an absolutely fantastic job. Bards beating his personal best there in Sector 2 was nearly a 10th over his PB. And now 3.5 seconds as they go to Blanchimont. Left-hander through here, and let's see, still 3.5 seconds as expected. Of course, yellow flag for guess who. Now Bards through the bus stop has actually lost a couple of tenths on the entry, but on the exit, those soft tyres are definitely putting get the traction down much earlier there. And there you go. We should gain a few more tenths through La Source. As Truckster now with a 3-second penalty. Of course, he was battling with a race chase earlier on, but those medium tyres have worn out quicker for the Ferrari rather than the Aston Martin, and a rather underwhelming affair for the Tifosi has been a highlight of their real-life season in the F1 Championship. 3 seconds now separating as they go down the Camels Straight, Verstappen and Bards, so that Haas is getting closer and closer, now at 2.9 seconds going through Mameldi. And this is the one we are currently looking at, because this is the battle that is going to instantly light up. Of course, the Red Bull will wait until the DRS zone of the Camel Straight to actually get the overtake done, I would imagine. But he has got time in hand Not much, but more than enough to get a overtake done in these circumstances. Of course, you will have to watch the tyre wear, but I imagine those hards are about used up as well, because a significant tyre, that will be a significant tyre advantage to Bards no matter what. The hards just, I don't see them reaching a crossover point with the softs at this late stage of the race, and with the tyre life between the two. Of course, Bard's now starting to suffer with some tyre wear. Of course, was down on his PB on this occasion, but of course, part of that will be due to recharging the battery. 5 laps to go at the line for Verstappen and Bards. Verstappen just trying everything he can, just really needs to stay consistent. This has been an absolutely excellent drive from Verstappen here, from the Haas driver, I should say. And he has really done very well, but we'll have one last test to go in these final 5 laps. Bards still gaining at him, but it's not as of a rapid a rate as it was earlier in the stint, and that is just simply because of the tyre life. But there you go, there's a few more tenths knocked out there. Verstappen not as quick on the traction with those hard tyres, but that is only because of, like I said, where they are. 1.5 seconds down the Camel Straight, so in reality, if you're Bards, you're just starting to think, I can get this move done next lap. I don't really need to wait around. And why would you as well? You've got the soft tyres. They will honestly fall off a cliff in the next few laps. You may as well get the overtake done at the first point of calling if it is possible. He could probably do it at Blanchimont, at least a straight separating Blanchimont and the bus stop potentially, but already at under 8 tenths of a second at Speaker's Corner. Lost a couple of tenths through there, so the dirty air now coming into effect, and that's where Bards will probably suffer with these soft tyres. He can't really afford to stay in that dirty air for too long. Of course, a prominent feature transferring from real life into the game. 1 second separating them through Lafagna, now through Stavelot 1. That gap remains at just over a second for the time being, and I think Bard's starting to feel that dirty air has just decided to cool off things just for the time being. Of course, engine temperature will also start rising when you get behind another vehicle. Still at just over a second as they go through Blanchimont, now approaching the bus stop chicane. Bards will not have DRS at this time of calling, but I imagine he is waiting and strategically placing it, as they will have 4 laps to go. And there we go. That will be underneath a second, but he didn't have it at the detection point, which was just before the bus stop chicane. But now Bards needs to stay within a second on the exit of the source. Yellow flag out for one of the Williams drivers, maybe? It was Bavish there, who has actually had a moment going through Mameldi. But back to the battle for second. Bards had DRS at the detection point, so at the activation point, that rear wing opens, and surely now a slam dunk move for the Red Bull. He is catching and catching, but Verstappen goes late to the inside there, but that is no dice, and at the moment now, there is another yellow flag showing for Barish, and there is, yeah, no, that'll be for the slow-moving Kick Sauber. As I wonder what's going on here. Energetic not really moving out the way, as now Energetic into Fagna, bit deep there from the Kick Sauber, just trying to allow everybody through, as Salvi, even beg your pardon, overtakes Bavish there. So I wonder if Bavish has had a moment as well. Is he going very slowly? He is. What's happened here? There doesn't look to be any lamination on the tyres. What is going on here? As Bards is also checking out. No, sorry. Verstappen is actually checking out from Bards. They are just going through Stavelot 1 and 2, so they're not too far away from this commotion. And why is Energetic not pitting? That's what makes the least sense to me. But anyway, we'll have to cut back to the battle for a second as, well, what is he doing? Okay. Sure. Anyway, at the moment, down the start-finish straight, we're going to have 3 laps to go, and Bards, at the first point of asking, was not able to get second place. And now, of course, now that we're under the 3 laps to go, safety car will not be deployed. So if there are any further incidents on track, we have lost that privilege. So virtual race control will just allow the race to go to its end. But now we are going to surely see Bards nearly underneath a couple of tenths there. He is now going to surely deploy DRS and get the move done. Side by side down the Camel Straight. Slam dunk move for Bards there as he gets past Verstappen. Will Verstappen have anything to respond with? I highly doubt it, considering the life of the hard tyres that he has got on. But of course, those soft tyres might crumble away quicker than we expected, and Verstappen might have another crack at the spot before the end of the Grand Prix. And there is another yellow flag for guess who, as he allows these two through. And what about Babish? He is just there. What is going on there? I am going to just keep a little bit of an eye on that, because what is he doing? I don't know. I'll ask him after the race. I'm sure he'll see this as well. Just to keep you updated on a couple of battles as well. There's Chugster and Kovachka. This is for genuine possession. They both share the same amount of post-race penalties, 3 seconds between them. Kovachka gets the move done. He has got 10th for the time being, but Chugster will be unhappy with that. He was on for that position. But there's also Race Chase in front. But of course, due to their post-race penalties, they will be... well, he will not benefit. No, sorry. Because of Kovachka and Chugster's post-race penalties, they will not benefit from that 9th position. And Andrew will, of course, having to serve a drive-through penalty, will also actually get a couple of positions. He will overtake Quincy, so he'll get 6th. Not a bad recovery, all things considered. And I'm just trying to wonder, what is going... Are they just trying to Are they under blue flag conditions as well? Although Babish has been going suspiciously slowly around the Kick Sauber. Don't know, bit of a mystery that one, but Verstappen hasn't allowed Bart to get away. He would have had DRS on the start-finish straight, and now, coming down to the Camel straight, the rear wing opens again, but Verstappen will be nowhere near close enough, and I'm beginning to wonder if something silly has happened. Yes, Energetic has found the barrier, while Babish has parked up. What are they doing? I am very confused here. But anyway, Vincenzo gets another 3-second penalty for track limit violations. That was going through Eau Rouge up to Radion. Vincenzo will get the move done. I think Quincy knows he doesn't need to fight this, and he will just allow the Racing Bulls through. That Racing Bulls, of course, has a massive penalty coming his way. So at the very least, whoa, it's Quincy with a big snap in the middle of Lecombe there through to Mamaldi. And there you go. So Quincy will just hold on to that. As 3-second penalty for Babish, a 10-second penalty. What is going on? What is going on here? That I'm going to ask him after the race. So just so you know, there is some funny shenanigans going on between Energetic and Babish, but I don't know if that's being communicated between them, and that's probably something I am not in on. Anyway, here we go. Verstappen and Bartel have one more lap of battling for second place here. Well, guess what? Underneath a second as we go into the final lap. Lap 44 out of 44 begins. And now Verstappen is still there. Verstappen is going to try and go down the inside at the source, but might just want to hold his horses. He will have the second DRS zone to come at the Camel Straight. So here we go. As long as he can remain underneath a second to the Red Bull going through the detection point, which he did. Ignore the yellow flags. You can guess what that's for. DRS opening for the Haas. He has not got a lot of battery, but he's also not got a lot of slipstream or a lot of time, and he can't get the move done. I think that is all but confirmed for the Red Bull, because look at the battery there. It is really low for the Haas driver, so he will just have to try and recharge it through the lap. Maybe he can have a go down the straight to Blanchimont. And already Andy is, well, approaching that part of the track. He is through Stavlo 1 and 2 as we speak, as Andrew and Quincy swap positions there. Andrew makes a move as Trugster has crashed. Who's he crashed with, though? Babish! He crashed with Babish. What has gone on there? Something unacceptable has happened. But at the moment, Andy is approaching the bus stop, and he is going to, well, set the impression in this preseason race. What is Babish doing here? As he's going to allow Andy Andre through. He wins preseason in Spa, but who is going to take second place? Verstappen has the slipstream. Bart will have battery in tow, as will Verstappen, I imagine. They are approaching the bus stop chicane. Is he going to make a late move? Outside or inside for the Haas? It's going to be the outside. He goes into the bus stop. Let's get on board. They're making contact with one another during the bus stop chicane. But it's Bart who comes out with second by the skin of his teeth. And Herman is trying to make a move on Moksha, but this won't matter. He has got a 3-second post-race penalty coming, just putting him under a bit of pressure. And at the moment now, Moksha will get 4th place, regardless if Herman overtakes. He does not, so that means that position is rightfully Moksha's, and there we go. Vincenzo there to the line, but Andrew will take that away, and Quincy will also take that position away due to the penalties. Now, got a bit of controversy to sort out because it looked like Chugster was on for a good result before crashing with Bavish. So I don't quite know what happened there. And it just looked like, I don't know, it just seemed very silly indeed. I mean, energetic, or what was going on there? I don't really understand why he stayed out on that damaged front wing. Well, he had no front wing, as you've seen. He only had a nose. And even then, that was kind of debatable. I mean, he's also got a punch on his front left. What is going on here? That's just silly. I'm sorry. I've got to be honest there. That is very silly. And does he have a punch on the rear as well? I don't understand that at all. I do not. I'm a bit of a loss for words there. So, we are going to just wait and see. I think we will have post-race interviews for you towards the end of this. I just need to go mute just so that we can. And yeah, no, Trugster's already in the VC, so I think, yeah, something has really happened there. That wasn't really up to code, and I just wonder, that's trouble. That if that is within the rules, well, if within the rules, they are penalised for that. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised. I mean, why did Energetic stay out on that broken front wing? Is absolutely clueless to me. That just made no sense. And well, then, and it was bound to cause an accident, and then Bavish kind of making things worse, and now the situation's out of control. But anyway, here are some of your accolades from today's race. Cleanest driver goes to Race Chase, and honestly, yeah, no, I would have gone Andy for that as well. Most overtakes goes to Moksha, and in actual fact, great race for Moksha, despite kind of falling off at the start there, made his way into the top 5. Very good job. Then driver of the day, Vincenzo. Fastest up went to Vincenzo as Andy is your race winner. And now, very quickly, for first to 10th is Andy, Andre Bards, for Verstappen, Moksha, and Herman. And then at 6th to 10th, Andrew, Quincy, Vincenzo, Race Chase, Kovachka, and Salvi. Sorry, Kovachka already got top 10. And then, thank you, F1 25. So let's just start that again, but calmer this time. Your top 3 are Andy, Andre, Bards, and Verstappen. Then your top 5 rounded out by Moksha and Herman the German. Then it's 6th to 10th for Andrew, Quincy, Vincenzo, Race Chase, and then Kovachka. And then 11th to 15th is Salvi, Drugster, Bavish, Energetic, and Targangino. And then 16th to 18th was Shaggy, Jolly Boy John, and Danger David, with your non-finishers being Targangino, Shaggy, Jolly Boy John, and Danger David. So, let's see. Are we going to have any post-race interviews? Let's see. I mean, yeah, sure. Let's see. Quincy is asking for them. It's asking if I want them. Sure. Why not? Traditions, I am going to say. Let's see. So we'll wait and see. But obviously, controversy at the end of that race there between Bavish and Energetic. So, already we could be looking at some very fierce stewards reports there. But yeah, no, it was just kind of silly, to be honest with you. I can't really put it any more bluntly than that. I have no more words. Yeah, no, in the randomized grid as well, like, you know, some of the positions there, we had the well, what was the season 2 to season 4 championship rivals starting in 2nd and 3rd. Of course, they mud Kovachka right off the start there, and it was in for a it was certainly made for a very interesting fight, but Andy running away with it by, I think it was over 20 seconds once all said and done. We're still waiting for 2nd and 3rd to make their way into the commentary box, so we'll see if they do join us. But if needs be, we do at least have one podium interview coming our way. But yeah, overall, I think I was surprised to see that most drivers took the 2-stop strategy there. I thought we were going to see mostly a 1-stop, but evidently not. Of course, Andy executed that 1-stop with a couple of other drivers. I'm trying to remember who was kind of with them. It doesn't look like we have all of our podium sitters. Some may come as the interviews go on, but I think we shall just get started. So, let's begin. Andy, Andre, it was kind of written in the script. You started 2nd, and I just really didn't feel like it was going to go any other way. Congratulations. It's a pre-season win, so no points at stake. But a good feeling going into season 7, I would imagine.
Yeah, great feeling, as you said. really straightforward race. Everything went according to plan. Yeah, the P3 start was a bit lucky for myself. I got a really easy start. Didn't get mixed up in any battles, and just luckily I had the slipstream to make the overtakes for the first spot pretty quick in the first or second lap, I think. And yeah, after that, I just kept building the gap. I had a really strong start. I was pulling about a second a lap at the race start, but after that, Verstappen was catching pretty quickly on used tires. I think he had a better setup regarding the tires than myself, or maybe he was just better at dealing with worn rubber. But yeah, I managed to keep him behind until the end, and yeah, really straightforward race for myself.
And of course, now you are looking to take your sixth. Well, you are. It's the statistic on paper is 6 titles in a row is now on the cards for you. Of course, you are full time in the Mercedes, and of course, you've taken a couple of championships with that team. And I take it, it was very nice to be back in a very familiar car.
Yes, it was indeed. It's been my favorite car for a few years now, and yeah, it's nice to go back to the sound, and with everything being familiar, it's a good feeling. I had some Mercedes stuff around the rig, and it's fitting me well.
That's not what your championship rivals will want to hear, so some work for them. But I think just a little fun question, just to kind of cap off the podium interviews for you. Who would you be looking at as a main rival for you throughout season 7?
Uh, Really tough to judge at this point. I think a lot of the drivers have the potential to be champions. It just depends on who is gonna have the time to make the effort to practice week after week, and not to miss races, and also not get into trouble on the track, and just keep adding the points. Uh, Hard for me to say right now before the season even begins, but for sure there are a few of them who could give me a pretty tough fight.
We'll look forward to seeing the opening round next week. Thank you so much for taking my questions, and we'll see you in Azerbaijan next week.
Yep, see you. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
As Andy was the only one to join us, we are going to conclude the evening right there and then. So thank you for the interviews, guys. Thank you for the interview, Andy. We'll see you next week, obviously. Bye bye for now. Okay, with that all being wrapped up, there is your calendar right in front of you. So obviously we will be off to Azerbaijan next week. But tomorrow, we still have one last pre-season race for you. It will be a 50% Grand Prix distance, so half distance Grand Prix, and it will feature your usual 18-minute qualifying. And well, we'll probably see the first spot of wet weather qualifying. Maybe, I don't know though. Preseason might be a bit different, but I do think it would be an idea to kind of set the rules there before anything. So, with the preseason concluded, we are gonna cut it off here. So, from wherever you may be in the world, I do wish you a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Stay safe, stay alive. We will see you hopefully tomorrow at the same time, but otherwise, we will see you next week for Division 1's season opener. Until then, bye for now.